Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to day 4 of Newton County's virtual learning experience Parent Connect sessions. Today, we'll be focusing on special education, and it'll be led by our Director of Special Education, Ms. Brooke Ramsey. But before we get into our special education presentation today, I want to cover a few bits of information for you. The purpose of our Parent Connect sessions is to offer families the opportunity to gain program information that will help their students prepare for our virtual learning experience. Our Parent Connect sessions have aired all this week at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Today's session, as I mentioned earlier, is for special education, and we'll also have a session tonight at 6 p.m. Friday, we will have our after-school program and family and student supports. Saturday at 9 a.m., yes, I said it, Saturday, we will have our Parent University. The sessions will run every hour from 9 until 3 with a break between 12 and 1. These sessions will give parents an idea of what it would look like to support their child with virtual learning throughout the start of our school year. This session will be 45 minutes in length. It will be recorded and on our YouTube channel for access later. If you have any questions during the time of the presentation, please utilize the link on the screen, and we will answer questions as time permits at the end. But don't worry if your question is not answered. We will answer those questions in our frequently asked questions document that will be posted on the district website for later access. At this time, the next voice you will hear will be Ms. Brooke Ramsey, our Director of Special Education.
Good morning, I'm Brooke Ramsey, Director of Special Education for Newton County Schools, and I appreciate you taking the time this morning to join us as I present the Special Education Virtual Remote Learning Guidance. I'm going to start with the general education curriculum. First, inside the general ed classroom. Students should utilize the lessons designed for general education students using the Teacher's Canvas page. Special education teachers and paraprofessionals who provide services in the general education setting should collaborate with the general education teacher to ensure that lessons are differentiated in the provision of appropriate adaptations, accommodations, and supports for students with disabilities as necessary. Special education teachers and paras will participate in live Zoom class meetings and offer opportunities for further instruction or clarification as appropriate according to the IEP. Breakout rooms will be utilized to offer additional support as needed. Continuing with the general education curriculum, however, outside of the gen ed classroom, special education teachers of small group resource classes should follow the same instructional schedule for all teachers at the appropriate level, being elementary, middle, or high school. Students should utilize specialized lessons using the Special Education Teacher's Canvas page. Special education teachers should continue to ensure lessons are differentiated for students with disabilities and allow for access to the gen ed curriculum as necessary. Special education teachers will participate in live Zoom class meetings and offer opportunities for further instruction or clarification as appropriate according to the IEP. Breakout rooms will be utilized as well to offer additional support as needed. Class meetings will be recorded to allow flexibility in schedules to meet the child's individual needs. Recordings will be accessed through the Special Education Teacher's Canvas page, and a link for the recording will be provided. Now, outside of the general education curriculum, we also provided adapted curriculum for students with disabilities when needed. Students should utilize specialized lessons using the unique learning system curriculum. Live Zoom class meetings will be scheduled daily with the classroom teacher. Class meetings will be recorded to allow flexibility in schedules to meet the child's individual needs, and recordings will be accessed through the Special Education Teacher's Canvas page, and a link for that recording will be provided. Special education teachers and paras will offer opportunities for further instruction or clarification as appropriate according to the IEP. Breakout rooms will be utilized to offer additional support as needed. For our students who receive vision impaired or deaf, hard of hearing services, those services will be provided virtually or in person for however those students will be attending school. These students should utilize the list of suggested activities that will be provided by the therapist who serves the student, as well as participate in live Zoom sessions with the therapist or teacher that will be scheduled with the student and or small groups according to the IEP. Students with vision impaired services will also receive adapted materials to assist in accessing the curriculum, and these materials will be delivered to the home using contactless delivery. We also have some additional services that we provide to our students, whether they will be attending in person or virtual. Students who receive speech language therapy, occupational therapy, adaptive physical education, and or physical therapy will utilize the list of suggested activities that will be provided by the individual therapist for who serves the student. Live Zoom sessions will be scheduled in individual student and or small group classes according to the IEP as well. Don't forget, if you have any questions as I'm going through the information today, to use the link to add those, and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. All right, behavior support. Students who require some social, emotional, or behavior support will be supported by the behavior department. Students previously receiving support in the classroom will be contacted to determine if the support is needed in the home. Take-home sensory and hands-on brain break kits will be individually customized for each student. They will be available to parents along with instructional videos modeling how they can be used in the home. Classroom teachers will receive supplemental materials and supports to assist their students to stay on track virtually. Any student needing visual schedules for the home will be provided one for at-home use as well. Any additional students who require behavioral support may be referred to the behavior department by their case manager. Behavioral support may include individual live Zoom sessions with behavior staff, or weekly videos of social stories and social skills, or even small social skills groups with other students, parents, trainings, etc. The behavior department will also provide virtual field trips to different locations for teachers and parents to use as an educational brain break. Information regarding our self-paced virtual learning for students with disabilities. Parents of students with disabilities choosing to participate in the self-paced learning model will be invited to participate in an IEP meeting. At this IEP meeting, the district will review the IEP services that are currently in place, which will be the offering of FAPE, which is the free appropriate public education. If the parent chooses to continue with the self-paced virtual learning model, a contingency plan will be developed and attached to the current IEP of services. The team will determine the supports that can be offered, considering the choice for self-paced. It is likely that the supports and services may be adjusted and not all IEP services can be provided due to the self-paced virtual learning model. Now, Ms. Fury earlier this week shared the reentry plan for all students, and I'll review that briefly regarding students with disabilities. Students with disabilities in grades pre-K through 12th grade served in the self-contained environments can return for in-person learning September 8th. Social distancing and safety guidance will be followed, and students who wish to continue in the virtual learning will not be required to return in in-person learning. All IEP services can be provided in person and school-based virtual learning options. Now, these are some practices that we have in place that I want to also review just because of some of the frequently asked questions that we've received. Some of the practices I'll review will be evaluations and timelines, IEP meetings, FAPE, and then progress monitoring. Evaluations and timelines. Following all safety precautions, face-to-face assessments have resumed. Evaluations and reevaluations are being scheduled with evaluators at this moment. Parents will be contacted regarding scheduling an appointment for students with whom an evaluation has been requested. Regarding the initial evaluation or reevaluation, initial evaluation timelines have been recalculated according to the guidance from the Georgia Department of Education. An initial evaluation must be conducted within 60 days of receiving parental consent or within the state-established timeline. 5 or more consecutive days when children are not physically in attendance due to the COVID-19 pandemic is considered other circumstances, and such days, including contiguous weekend days, will not be counted towards the 60-day calendar initial evaluation timeline. Additionally, LEAs and parents may mutually agree to extend the timeline to conduct the initial evaluation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In regards to reevaluations, following all health and safety precautions, again, face-to-face assessments have resumed. Evaluations and reevaluations are being scheduled with evaluators. Parents will be contacted regarding scheduling an appointment for students whom an evaluation has been requested. The district and parents may mutually agree to extend the timeline to conduct the reevaluation, also due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Initial eligibility meeting timelines. Initial eligibility meetings will be delayed until the completion of the initial evaluation. Upon completion of all components of the initial evaluation, the eligibility team can schedule and conduct the initial eligibility meeting unless a parent agrees to extend the timeline for the initial evaluation. If the parent agrees to extend the timeline, sufficient written documentation, such as an email, fax, or letter, will be required. IEP meeting timelines. IEPs must be reviewed annually. The district and parents may mutually agree to use alternative means to hold the annual review IEP team meeting, including video conferences or conference calls. The district and parents may mutually agree to extend the timeline to conduct the annual review IEP team meeting due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And again, if the parent agrees to extend the timeline, sufficient written documentation will be required. Initial IEP timelines. Initial IEP meetings will be held within 30 days of the initial eligibility meeting unless a parent agrees to extend the timeline to develop the initial IEP. If the student agrees, again, sufficient written documentation will be required. IEP amendments. IEP amendment meetings will not be necessary solely due to the change in the mode of instructional delivery or because of a school closure. IEP amendment meetings may be necessary to address students' needs, and those IEPs may be amended in person or through alternative means for the purpose of making those changes. This is the free appropriate public education, also known as FAPE, in regards to special education and related services. It is our obligation to provide special education and related services that are proportional to our district's provision of educational services to all students. Special education services during this time of national crisis may not look like they do when we are in face-to-face instruction. Every child's circumstances have changed, and outcomes for all students are likely to be different in this time of home learning than they would have been during face-to-face instruction. It is reasonable that services and outcomes for students with disabilities will be different as well. However, we must make good faith, reasonable efforts to provide special education and related services. We must make learning accessible for all students with disabilities. We may use different means for providing access during these school closures. However, we must ensure that students with disabilities have equal access to the educational opportunities provided to all students in the district. If we offer educational services and make them accessible for students with disabilities, but parents choose for their children not to participate in these opportunities, then the district has then met its obligation. Progress monitoring. Progress reports on IEP goals and objectives will continue to be issued when quarterly report cards are issued. Districts must report progress on the IEP goals and objectives throughout the year, minimally at the same time that students receive report cards. Documentation of the provision of special education and related services, adaptations, accommodations, and supports is necessary. Each special education provider will document the services provided in a manner that best fits their model of support. Documentation may include any opportunities available to all students in classes, any opportunities extended to students with disabilities, any adaptations, accommodations, or supports designed to tailor instruction for individual students, or and student-parent response to these opportunities. All right, and don't forget, as you have any questions, just type those in the link, and we can go ahead and get to some of those questions. While we're waiting for some questions that we've received in our department have requested information regarding 504 plans. The Special Education Department does not handle 504 plans in Newton County Schools. Those plans are actually handled through the Student Supports Department, and so you can contact the director of that department, Mr. Darren Berry, for more information regarding 504s. All right, and then we have our first question. How is the system supposed to help my son with a disability meet his needs for further educational development? Hopefully, going through the information I just presented will answer some of that information or some of that question for you, but we will be able to provide all special education services, whether the parent chooses the face-to-face model or if the parent chooses the virtual teacher-supported model. How will an IEP service like speech therapy or para support work? Again, services can be provided whether the parent chooses to return face-to-face or through the virtual teacher-supported model. Speech therapy and para support, because they are part of the IEP services, will also be provided. Those will be provided through teleservices to provide the speech therapy using the live Zoom sessions, or if they are in the building, they can receive that face-to-face with the therapist. Another question. I have a special needs medically high-risk son, and he can't wear a mask all day. Can my son stay virtual even after school opens? Can he stay virtual all year? Yes, your son will not be required to attend even when our students who are face-to-face are able to return, whether it's September 8th because they're in the self-contained environment, or if they are receiving that service virtually through the teacher-supported environment. They would not be required to return until you feel safe. Okay. Can our special needs students wear a face shield only in the classroom and a cloth mask in the hallways, etc.? With the different sensory issues, this would be helpful. We will definitely take into consideration all of our students' needs. We expect that we will have some students who have some sensory issues and needs that need to be handled in regards to wearing of the face mask or face shield, so we can definitely make those accommodations for our students. How will students get the extra help they need from special education teachers? So whether they return face-to-face or virtually, that support can still be provided in a small group or one-on-one. If we're participating in the virtual model, the student will be able to receive that support in a breakout room with their teacher or with a paraprofessional, whatever their IEP calls for. And then if they're in the face-to-face model, of course, they can work in small group sessions as well. There will be plexiglass in the self-contained classrooms where we can allow some of that small group and one-on-one interaction as well. The IEP case manager hasn't contacted me yet like they have in previous years. Will they still contact us before the school starts to talk about how the IEP requirements will be met? Yes, our case managers are using this time during pre-planning to reach out to families. So if you haven't heard from them just yet, that's all right. They'll definitely give you a call to talk about what your choice for learning has been, whether it will be face-to-face when appropriate, or if it will be virtual teacher-supported model. And they will kind of go through what those services will look like for your child. If my special needs son is struggling with virtual, but is too high risk and cannot move to in-person until COVID is over, will there be more help added to the IEP to help him with his struggles? The district can definitely look at individual students' needs based on the model that you have chosen for your son, whether it will be a virtual teacher-supported model or if it will be the face-to-face at the point that students can return. And an IEP meeting can be held to discuss any challenges that we see or struggles that your son may be having, and we can hold a meeting to discuss those as an IEP team. Another question, how do the breakout rooms work? Will we have to assist with the child entering and leaving multiple Zoom rooms for therapies, sensory breaks, and small group lessons? So the breakout rooms within Zoom, the teacher can just assign a child to a breakout room, whether they're working in a small group with some other students, or if they need that additional support with either a teacher or a paraprofessional. And she can just assign that breakout room in Zoom. As far as entering and leaving multiple Zoom rooms for therapies, sensory breaks, and small group lessons, it's our teacher's goal and our therapist's goal that we minimize the number of links that a child has to access. And so that's why we have asked that our staff to create all of their own Canvas pages, so that way the child can access the link for their therapy through the individual therapist page. When it comes to the classroom teacher, it's our goal that the one link on the classroom teacher's page will be accessible, and then from there they will participate in their Zoom class sessions. We're hoping to minimize and cut out as many transitions between multiple Zooms as possible. Another question. My son goes to a self-contained class for his homeroom. Is he required to attend school with the other full-time self-contained children? No, your son will not be required to return until you feel that it's appropriate and safe for your individual child to return. Because we have the face-to-face option available for our self-contained students beginning on September 8th, does not mean that we're requiring all of our students to return on September 8th who receive the self-contained services. You can continue to receive that support virtually, and all of IEP services will be provided that way as well. All right, and so far, that's about all of the questions that we have. If you have any more, continue to use the link. We can also address additional questions this evening that may come in throughout the day. So please continue to use that link, send us some questions. If you still have some individual questions that we were not able to answer today, or you want to contact our office, feel free to do that, and we will be more than happy to help you with addressing your individual child's plan and any needs or concerns you may have. All right, and here is one more question. Teaching is not my ministry, unfortunately. Will there be parent training or mentoring? On behalf of the Special Education Department, we will definitely continue with our parent trainings throughout the year. That will not change at all. We typically have them about every 6 weeks or so we will definitely continue with those. We're in the transition phase right now with our parent mentor. She actually has been moved to a different position with our department, and we will be posting very soon our new position for a parent mentor. So any of you parents that are out there who might be interested, watch our Facebook page, watch our website for that posting, and we'll be very, very excited about bringing in a new parent mentor for this school year. In the meantime, we will continue to offer parent trainings as well as a parent newsletter that we hope to get started very soon to go out. On behalf of Newton County Schools, there will be lots of parent trainings throughout the year as well. All right, let's see if any other questions are coming in. How will parents, grandparents, and other caregivers be trained to switch Zoom rooms? Our technology department is working really hard to train all of our staff on using Zoom and all of the different Canvas and links that students will have access to, and they are also offering or will be providing some additional trainings for our parents as well. Saturday. So make sure you tune into that. All right. See if there's any other questions that are coming through. Can you please speak to how class testing will occur, especially for children who receive accommodations? So regarding face-to-face, students who are receiving any type of accommodations will obviously continue those face-to-face in the classroom. Virtually, through the teacher-supported model, accommodations will be provided as well. It may be an extended time or frequent breaks. The classroom teacher and the case manager will work with the student to ensure that those accommodations are provided, even in the virtual environment. Okay. That looks like that may be all of the questions at the moment. But like I mentioned, of course, if you have any individual questions that you would like for us to answer, please feel free to contact our office. I will put our contact information back up there for you so that way you can see our extensions. I have a wonderful team who works with me. Coordinators, you'll see the information from Mr. Ed Vrabel, who is our IDEA coordinator. We have an elementary coordinator, Mr. Rothel Lewis, and then our secondary coordinator, Mr. Tony Tremaldi. An extraordinary team who supports all that we do in the district, and they will be more than happy to address any of your concerns as well. All right, here's another question. If I originally chose virtual learning for my student who is in self-contained classroom, is there an option for him to go face-to-face at this point? Yes, any of our students who are in the self-contained learning environment who may have chosen the virtual at first, but now with more information coming out and the opportunity to return face-to-face, you will be able to make that decision. We will have a survey that goes out to just our parents of self-contained students within the next 48 hours or so. And then that way, that will allow you to make that choice again so that we have the most current numbers of students to plan for regarding face-to-face instruction on September 8th. So you will have the opportunity again if you'd like to return to the face-to-face model. That looks like that may be all of our questions for today. Again, please use the link that will provide you the opportunity to ask questions as they come up today or before tonight's session, and we'll be happy to answer those this evening. But at this time, I appreciate you tuning in and listening to our guidance regarding returning virtually or face-to-face on behalf of the Special Education Department. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.